Hey guys, welcome back to another drawing painting tutorial. I'm going to throw you guys a digital picture modification tutorial. I'm going to try to do this fast, so don't expect perfection. We're going to start with the very basics, zoom way in. Zoom way in. Zoom is your friend. Zoom is going to help you add the details in a very small place that when it's zoomed out you won't notice the difference. You won't notice the modifications you've made as much. Ignore that sound. That was just an alarm going off I had set. Anyway, you want to use colors from the picture itself to make your modifications because they will look more natural than choosing colors from the color palette. It's just hard to get the colors you want on the color palette, and a lot of times in a picture colors are diffused depending on the lighting and stuff like that. It's just much easier if you work on colors from the color palette. Of course, you need to know how to draw. I do have drawing and painting tutorials. You need information on how to do light sourcing, the path of light, shadows, cast shadows, gradient shadows, how to decide what shape gets a shadow and what shape doesn't get a shadow. You need to know all that type of stuff to modify pictures. Well, at least modify them in this way. I'm going to try to give this handsome guy right here some muscles, and so I'm just zooming in here. We're gonna try to make him pretty. It's gonna be a task, and I'm not gonna spend enough time on it, I imagine, to actually make it effective. We can at least make it look like I got some muscles, even when I don't. Yeah. But anyway, we're gonna keep zoomed in here. You want to zoom out regularly. You'll see I do it a lot. Zoom out regularly to get your to make sure the modifications you're making are going to look good at the normal size, and it'll also keep you in line. It'll keep you focused on the task, which is the normal size picture. The zoomed in picture is not always going to look right, but the zoomed out picture, the normal size picture, hopefully you won't notice the changes. So here I am working on the doohickey muscles between the tricep and the bicep. Not really sure what that's called, but it's there, and it casts a shadow, and I want it to be bigger, so it'll make the arm look more cut. So you have to add a highlight there, and you have to enhance the cast shadow. I believe I work on this bicep quite a bit. It's a bit of a pain in the butt. It doesn't cooperate quite well. Because it's in shadow, it's hard to modify something that's in shadow, because the way you modify things is you add new highlights and you add new cast shadow, and if it's already in shadow, it's hard to add a new cast shadow because it's already dark. It's already dark, and you're using the colors from the palette. So anyway, a cut bicep usually has a shape. It bulges out towards the tip, and it has a bit of an inset just past the main ridge. So I'm gonna try to shape that out with colors. I'm gonna add a bit of highlight there. I'm gonna add a bit of shadow. I'm trying to define it more. It's honestly a pain in the butt, and it gives me a lot of trouble. So I am going to zoom past that bit here, and we're gonna find where the I stop working on it. Okay, here we go. I'm relatively satisfied with the bicep at this point. I'm still fiddling with it. Working with the blur tool. The blur tool is your friend. It will hide a lot of your mistakes and a lot of the unnaturalness of the lines you're adding. So I'm gonna come in here, I believe, and make this tricep bulge out a little more. We gotta make it. This is relatively easy because it's in the highlight, and so it's gonna show up a lot easier. So just make that bulge out just a little bit more. We don't want it to be ridiculously huge because, like I said, you want it to be believable at normal size. That's the biggest thing about digital pixel modification, is you want it to be believable at normal size. And remember, I'm doing this quick, so it's only going to be so believable Yeah, usually it takes hours to work on something like this and make it natural. You just got to keep fiddling with it. You got to keep touching up the blur, touching up the lines, touching up the shadows. Make sure your gradient is nice. I'm doing very basic gradients, very basic shadows and highlight, just to give you guys an idea of what to do. Now I'm gonna work on the forearm a bit here, and I believe we'll darken that in a bit, and make just define the muscles in the forearm just a little bit. It's getting darker down there, so once again, things that are darker are hard to modify. They're hard to change out, and you don't really want to make too much detail changes in the darkness, in the shadow, because most of your detail that you're going to see in a real picture is going to be in the lighted areas. The areas where the light hits the most, areas in shadow, you're not going to see as much detail anyway. And so if you add too much detail in the shadow, it's gonna look unnatural. So just gonna give a few basic guidelines of where the muscles should be and grade them out. Excuse me there, that slipped out. You didn't hear that, did you? I hope not. I got a crappy microphone, so you probably didn't. Anyway, and remember, once again, keep zoom out, and make sure it looks good at normal size regularly, because if you do a bunch of work, and spend a lot of time on a single little area, and then you zoom out and it looks crappy, you've just wasted a bunch of time that you didn't need to. So you do a little change, you zoom out, you see what it needs, you zoom back in, you do a little change, you zoom out, you find out what it needs. See, just that little bit of shadow and the blur tool, abuse the crap out of the blur tool. Made that arm look nice and defined. The blur tool is going to make sure your lines don't look like drawn lines. They're going to look like more natural shapes, because it's just gonna it blurs the edges. It's a wonderful tool. I don't know if most paint programs have a blur tool. This is Autodesk Sketchbook something. But anyway, it's a paint program that came with my tablet, so I use that. Wow, I just cut it off there. Anyway, here's the before picture, after picture. I hope this was useful, guys. If it was, give it a thumbs up. Ask any questions you'd like in the comments below, and check out my dark fantasy novel on Amazon.com. It's Kindle or paperback, and the links should be in the description below if I remember to put them in. Anyway, I hope this was helpful. See you guys next time.